Greetings, gardeners. Here I am back in the corn again, but this time it's not sweet corn. There are so many different kinds of corn. Most gardeners only grow sweet corn. But for many years I have also grown grinding corn for meal, hominy corn for hominy, and popcorn for popcorn. This one right here is an heirloom Mexican corn. It's called Oaxacan green dent. When we refer to a corn as a dent corn, we mean that the kernel has an indentation on the end. There are flint corns that are round and glassy at the tips. There are flour corns that can go either way, which has a more starchy interior. Now, this one right here is a good one for making cornmeal, for cornbread. It's a good one. You can make masa out of it for tamales and for tortillas. It has a very unusual color. You can see here, as I strip the ear down, what comes to show here, you notice it has green and gunmetal blue kernels in it. There's also a few yellow kernels in here too, and that's because I had a few stalks of Nostein dent, which is upper Michigan corn. This one here is from Mexico. The other one was from upper Michigan. The upper Michigan corn cross-pollinated with this. Corns do that. Anyway, what we're doing here is that you see the husk on this has mostly lost its color. The kernels are fully dented out and the silk is turned brown. So this is Puna, Hawaii, and things will not cure well on the stalk here. If you lived in a drier fall climate, dry late summer climate, then you could allow your corn to stay out on the stalk and dry in the field. But around here it just rains too much, and if we left this on we just end up rotting it or sprouting the kernels, getting mold. Something bad would happen. So what we do instead is we take it down, we husk it out like that, and then we'll tie a bunch of these cobs together, and I'm going to hang them from the rafters in the shed and let them air dry so they can get dry enough I can grind them and make flour. The biggest problem I'm having with corn here is the corn earworm. The local earworm is voracious, bigger and fatter and faster than any I've ever seen in the mainland, and he has done a pretty good job at chewing my stuff up. Yep, we had one in here. You can see them. Over there is some worm doo-doo on the end of this where he chewed it up. With this stuff, if you get in quick enough and you take this down, you can still salvage your ears as long as the ears don't begin to rot on the end. Isn't it pretty? It's just gorgeous, this stuff. I love this color. So it makes some wonderful blue corn chips. There's a lot of field corn out there these days. Vast majority of all of the field corn, that is corn that's grown to be harvested hard rather than soft and green, the vast majority of it is genetically engineered. Okay. And so if you're going to grow your own cornmeal in the garden, first off, you need to look for a corn that was bred and developed for humans to eat, because the genetically engineered corn, no matter how you feel about that business, it all tastes like animal feed, and none of it has a good flavor. You have to get back into either some of the old heirloom white man's corns, or you can get back into some of the Native American corns. They had some great stuff in the American Southwest. Tastes really good. Again, this is from a combination of two corns, one from Mexico, from Oaxaca, and the other one from Michigan that was part of the Nostein family's collection. They were old Michigan homesteaders, and so they needed a corn they could eat too. Many parts of the world, corn is still a dual-purpose crop. It's both fed to humans and to animals. In the United States, that's not really true anymore. But in Mexico, most corn varieties are raised both for human consumption and for animal consumption. This caused a lot of trouble when we had NAFTA and allowed the genetically engineered corn to get into Mexico, because there they treat all corn the same, and corn is feed, corn is food, corn is seed, and so the genetically engineered corn ended up being fed both to animals and to people. Then the seed was saved, and then it was grown in the fields, where it contaminated the land races in the motherland of corn, where Monsanto's lawyers decided they would sue all the Mexicans in Oaxaca because there was traces of their GMO corn in the native land races. Yeah, believe it or not. Beautiful stuff, isn't it? Just beautiful. I love corn. There's so many different kinds. Now we're getting into corn here that's predominantly the Nostein dent. And the reason they call this stuff dent corn is you can see there the little depressions in the kernels. Beautiful. Now the beautiful thing about corn as a grain is so many grains, like rice, you need a rice paddy. It's kind of a difficult hand harvest situation too. Wheat, well, growing wheat is another problem because it only grows in certain climates. Corn grows in a wide variety of different climates, but the wheat really requires a lot of mechanical processing in order to be able to eat it. The beauty of corn is, as you can see here, I just harvested this by hand. Okay, so I didn't need any special machines. I will cure it by hand just by tying them upside down in a group. Then when they're dry, I'll come back later and we'll do a video where I'm going to show you how we can hand shell this stuff and we'll put it through my grinder. And so you don't really need a lot of specialized equipment in order to make cornmeal. Alright, so corn is definitely a great low-tech cereal grain. It doesn't require lots of mechanization. You just don't need a lot of tools in order to be able to work with corn. It's so beautiful. It's an easy harvest compared to something like wheat or like rice. You get in there and you pull down an ear and you have quite a bit of food just in one harvest. There we go. I got myself one big basket full of corn grain here. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bundle these up and hang them in the shed, let them cure. And after they're dry, I'm going to come back, we're going to make some cornmeal. Yep, so here we are at the bench, and I'm going to take my corn. I've laid it out here in a pile. I've got a cord right here. I laid across the bench top, laying the corn ears on top of it. We've taken the husk, we pulled the husk down like so. Peeled the cobs open. I'm just going to make a pile of these. Like that. That looks like a good number. Take my cord here. A knot in it, and there we end up. So there we have ears of corn tied together so that the air will circulate around them and we can cure them. So there you have it. I have hung up my Nostein dent and my Oaxacan green dent in bundles by their husks to cure. And then we're just going to wait until the kernels get dropped and hard enough that you can grind them. Aloha. Happy gardening. Eat more cornbread.